But my story involves this: a car, a credit card, a not symbol, and a bus. We're going to look at some expressions first, and then we'll look at the expressions after the story too. We have all in all. All in all. That's a way to say finally or in conclusion when you're concluding a story. Or you're summing up a story. You're giving a summary of some sort. It doesn't have to be in the conclusion, but it's in the conclusion of a part, right? It's just to say in summary. Before B, we had A, and A here is past participle. So if you have a point, we had past participle. This is the past perfect. If you have a starting point before B, B is your starting point. You did it before B. That means A is a past perfect. Before going shopping, we had gone to the bank to take out money. In the country, which goes with my question before, in the country, if you remember that from the question number 3 or 4, did you say in? To book something means to reserve something. Did you have that? A good deal? That's one of your questions on the quiz. What is a good deal? I'm going to tell my story and then you'll figure it out, I think. Tacked on. If something is tacked on, it means added to. So you tack on something, you tack on vocabulary at the end of class, it means you add vocabulary to the end of class. A lot of places they tack on extra cost, so you have to pay more. They add on extra cost. They add something. To tack on something means to add something. Just in case, it's the same meaning of like if something happens. You better bring an umbrella just in case it rains. Maybe it'll rain, maybe it won't rain. Just in case. Bring an umbrella. Be prepared. Always be prepared. Always be prepared. To pick something up, a phrasal verb. To get something or to take something away. It's a phrasal verb. It's used a lot and it's separable. I have to pick my daughter up from school. I have to pick my guitar up from the music shop. Don't forget it doesn't have to be separable. Don't forget to pick up your homework assignment at the end of class. Silly me. You can use it sarcastically or a way to say, I'm an idiot. But a fun way. It's more of a childish way. If you're half listening, it means you're not fully listening. When you make a deposit, you're giving money. If you put a deposit down to buy something, you put your deposit down or to take something. You borrow it, then bring it back, and if the object is in good condition, you can get your deposit money back. They will return it back to you. As I was this is just grammar. As I was walking, as I was saying, as I was reading, as I was ing. If you're continuing a story or you're saying two things are happening at the same time. As I was talking, the phone rang. The phone rang while I was talking. You want to have the was plus the ing, the past continuous. You can also have present continuous. but my story is in the past. Oh. You've got to be joking. You've got to be joking. To take advantage of something is to use it to the maximum usage. To take advantage of somebody is negative. That's to use them and not to value them. You only use them for what they can do. Take advantage of something is good. Take advantage of somebody is bad. Two more. The moral of the story is the lesson of the story. For example, the turtle and the rabbit. Do you guys know the turtle and the rabbit story? The one where the turtle is walking slowly in the forest and the rabbit's being a real jerk. He's being very arrogant. And he wants to race the turtle. And then he finally races the turtle and he gets overconfident, too confident. And he falls asleep. The turtle comes up and wins the race. The moral of the story? Be persistent. Don't be overconfident. If you're looking at the rabbit, don't be overconfident. If you're looking at the turtle, the moral of the story is to be persistent, to be perseverant, to persevere, to continue. And take a second, it means to stop and think. Well, take a second means to stop what you're doing for a second. These are your expressions, and I'm sorry I didn't warn you to write them down beforehand, but I hope that you took initiative to do that. And if you're not watching live, you can pause the video and go back in the video and write them down. Anyway, on to my story. My story involves those expressions and in the story form. So I'm going to tell the story, show you those vocabulary words again and those expressions again, and then I'm going to give you your assignment, and we'll get out of here. But let me tell you my story of what happened on Sunday. This happened on Sunday. As you guys know, last week we had our vacation, and we went away to Carmona. It's a little town here in Spain, in southern Spain, and if you're Spanish, especially from Andalusia, if you hear that we went to Carmona on vacation, you're probably laughing at me. But since I'm American, these small Spanish towns and villages they're so nice. They're so nice to visit. They're so historic, and they're really fun. It was a good time. We went to see some sights. We ate some good food. We sat by the pool. We went swimming. It was a perfect vacation. It was great. All in all, the trip was fantastic. It was wonderful. We did many great things. I made a video for you, and actually I made a couple, and next week, I'm gonna post one of the videos. But all in all, it was a fantastic vacation. Before the vacation, we had planned to take a week in Carmona and then go to a village outside of Granada for another week. That village was in the mountains. We were going in the mountains out in the country to spend a nice, relaxing, peaceful time. That was really nice. Before going out there, we had planned to go out there and we had planned to rent a rental car. I'm gonna call it a rental car from here on because in American we usually cut off the T. We don't really say in conversation, I'm going to get a rental car. We say rental car. So that's how I'm going to pronounce rental car in the story. But we rented a car, and on Sunday I was going to go pick up the car. So I went to the car rental place, and it was near the airport. For some reason, car rental places near the airport are cheaper than car rental places in the middle of the city. I don't know why. You'd kind of think it would be opposite, but it's not. They're cheaper there. And we live close enough to the airport that we could go. So I got a ride out to the airport and went to the car rental place. I had my passport just in case. I had my credit card, but I didn't need my credit card because we booked the car online. So we paid for the car. I paid for the car completely online. You always know when you use rental car services that they always tack on extra fees at the end. So if a price says 42, which this car for a week, I'd plan to pay 42 euros to rent the car this week. But you always know that they're gonna tack on extra money at the end. So I clicked 42, then they asked me if I wanted insurance for the car. Okay, $6 a day. I bought the insurance because just in case something happens, you think, God, geez, $6 a day, €6 a day, I could have avoided all of this headache. So I got the insurance, €6 a day, so that brought the price up from 42 to, you do the math, 76, I think. We're already at double what I thought originally. Okay, I paid for the car, I used the internet, printed out the receipt, and I have the receipt, my passport, my card, driver's license, everything that I think I need in my hand to go to the airport and to go to the car rental place. Well, I arrive at the car rental place and she does all her paperwork. She asked me if I want to buy their insurance. And I said no, I had already bought insurance online. She recommended that we use their insurance because it covers more and blah, blah, blah. You know that car rental places, they have their own kind of language, don't they? Don't they? I know they do. But it was for confirmation, to make sure that you are, it's kind of a way that we make sure that you're still with me. But they have their own kind of language, don't they? Yeah. So as a result, I was only kind of half listening. Yeah, okay, sure, sure. And so she told me the price. She's like, well, do you want our insurance? No. Okay, then you have to put this deposit down, this enormous deposit down. I didn't have a credit card. I only have my bank card, and I can't put a huge deposit on my bank card. So it comes back declined, obviously. So she asked me, okay, you don't want insurance, or you want our insurance. So I ended up calling the middle company, canceling my insurance with them, taking my insurance with this company, which was more expensive, and plus the down payment and the deposit. So what I had originally planned was 42 euros, ended up being 192. 192? I didn't sign up for this. So, but with all the confusion and the car rental language, and I was half listening, I ended up signing and accepting, taking the keys, and I was walking toward my car. I was thinking the whole time, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? I was thinking that the whole time. I was texting my wife, what should we do? What should I do? She said, do what you think is right. Okay. I got to the car. I saw the car. It was a little car. It looked nice, no problem. Looked at it, thought, this is a lot of money for, especially compared to what I thought. I turned around and went back into the office. I was going to cancel the whole thing. So I went back. The woman was on her smoke break. So she was outside having a cigarette. I asked her if I could cancel the order, and she said, what's the problem with the car? No problem. It's just a lot more expensive than what I had planned and what I budgeted. Okay, well, let me finish my cigarette. Okay, take your time. Take your time. That's an expression. Take your time. Take your time. I should have put it in there. Take your time. It means relax, finish what you're doing on your time. Take your time. Take your time. So I said, take your time. I went in and we canceled the order. I said, there's no problem. It's just more expensive. I wasn't prepared for this, so always be prepared. I was prepared for what I thought would happen, but I was able to adapt, which is also important. Anyway, I sometimes get distracted. So I handed her the keys. I got my refund. I contacted the company, canceled everything. Okay, good. There was a small charge, but nothing too serious. Okay. As I was walking back to the airport, I saw the taxi stand. There was a taxi stand. Taxi stand. Taxi stand. That's where the taxis are. And there were a few taxis there and a driver kind of sitting on a post. And I said, how much is it to go to the center of the city? He said, 25 euros. 25 euros. That's a lot. It shouldn't be that much. But I said, okay. Now, you should know that it's a set 25 euros to go to the center because taxi drivers would hike up. They would hike up. They would make the prices go higher by driving tourists around and taking advantage of tourists because many tourists don't know where they're going, so they could drive around and make a lot of money. So by law, it has to be only 25. So it was 25. And I said, well, is there a bus around here that goes to the center? And he said, there's a bus, but it doesn't go to the center. You've got to be joking. You've got to be joking. A bus doesn't go to the center? Listen, and I was speaking Spanish. My Spanish, the pronunciation is very bad. So I kind of don't want to even do an example because it's bad. It's very foreign. It's very American. But I was like, I know I sound like a tourist, but I live here. Like, come on, I know that there's a bus that goes to the center. So I'm just like, okay, then I'll walk if I have to. I'm not paying 25. So I go back just behind the taxi stand. I see a bus. There's a bus stop and a bus. So I go and ask the driver, does this bus go to the center? Yeah, sí, va. Y por el centro. Okay, good. Where does it go? And he showed me on the map the different stops that it went. It went almost right in front of my house. Perfect. How much? 4 euro. Great. So, what started out as a disaster turned out to not be too bad because I ended up going home on a bus. It was comfortable, no problem, 4 euro, no car, but I wasn't spending 192 when I had planned to spend 42, when I had budgeted 42. So all in all, everything worked out well. The taxi driver couldn't take advantage of me because I live here and I know what time it is. And I ended up home. And we spent a nice week here with my family and having a relaxing week in the city. So, anyway, the moral of the story is don't be too emotional in your decisions. I was very frustrated at the car rental place. I was very angry and upset. Not angry, but I was very frustrated and tired at the situation because it was frustrating. But the moral of the story, take a second and think about your situation and think about your options that you could take. That's the ticket. That's the key. Think about your options. Think about what you have to do. Take a second, breathe, and think, and then make a decision and adapt if necessary. I was able to adapt. I didn't get the car that I wanted. I didn't get a car because I adapted and determined that the best thing in this scenario wasn't my original plan. It was plan B. Take a second, breathe, think, and adapt. That's the moral of that story. So in the end, we had a relaxing week in Seville, or Sevilla, as the locals call it. So, thank you for listening to my story. Your homework assignment. Here's what I want you to do, and you can write it in the comments or write me personally at languagegalaxy.net. I want you to use at least 8 of these expressions and tell me a story or write me a story. You can make a YouTube video and send me a story too of something that has recently happened to you. Similar to mine. It can be a good story or a bad story, sad ending, frustrating, happy, any story that you want. Boring, it doesn't matter. The point is to use these expressions. Use at least 8 of these expressions and tell me a story that has recently happened to you. Using at least 8 of these expressions. More than 8 would be great. But this was my story.